really cool. That skyline. That is one area in the world that I've not been. Going up to those northern colder regions. Been all over the place, but that is on my list of things to do. I want to go to Alaska. I want to go to parts of Canada or Russia. I mean, Russia is probably a little sketchy. I'm sure there's great folks there, but it's kind of one of those places as an American tourist, you probably go over there and disappear and no one would bat an eyelash. But at the same time, you could look up in the sky and see something like that. Like, that's badass. The coldest place I've ever been was Korea, actually. Off the coast of Korea, one of my early deployments, I think it was my second deployment, old USS Carl Vinson out there. And they kind of used us as like a campaign tool or something. Like, North Korea said, you will not come within X amount of distance of this country. And the United States said, we have a carrier out there near South Korea, and we're going to port, and 5,000 people are going to get off that ship. They're going to party, go eat, drink, meet nice young females, I'm sure some of them. You know, we're going to do all that in your backyard and you're not going to do anything about it. So at the time, North Korea is like, there will be repercussions if you pull in this port. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm all about getting off the ship, but why the hell do I want to go somewhere where the next country over is ready to like drop a nuke on us just for showing up? So we went, and they actually gave us the most liberty I've ever had in a port. It was like 5-6 days, minimal watch standing, and they wanted every single American person to be out there in Korea having a great time. And then the local media is taking pictures of all the Americans in the bars, restaurants, all this stuff going on, and they're like, by the way, we just pulled a carrier in your backyard, everybody had a great time, and you didn't do anything about it. It was like the ultimate chess move, or some would say the ultimate flex on an entire country. And if you're in North Korea, I'm sure you're not watching this, but I'm sorry for how that must have looked. You'll probably never have the internet at this rate where you can even see Twitch, but I'm just saying I'm not cool with like the suppression of nations, you know, like having people's rights and liberties to even play an online game or whatever, you know, like you can't even do that. And there you are in another country right next door, and they got every liberty. You know, like that's just a crazy thought to me. But anyways, I was talking about the coldness. It was ice damn cold. Like, this carrier had ice hanging off the front in the middle of the ocean. And I remember my boss at the time, big old burly dude, like, you're not gonna mess with this guy. I'm not gonna say his name just in case he doesn't want to be put out there like that, but this dude would tell you to do something, and there was not a question about, am I gonna go do it? It was like, I'm gonna do whatever this dude says. Like, this guy whooped my ass. He said, go up there and watch this aircraft. Watch this F-18. And it was like 0 degrees with wind chills of I don't know what going on out there. And I'm like, hell no, I ain't going up there. Well, we did, because he picked up one of those chains, and he was like, I'm gonna wring y'all neck if you don't get up there and watch this bird. So we go up there and watch it, and you got people with gloves on, and their hands are starting to freeze through the gloves. Ice is forming on our bodies. It's snowing. And we're washing an aircraft with little scrubbies. Like, what the excuse me. Yeah, like, what the hell? And we did the fastest job known to man. Everybody was like, we're getting out of there as soon as possible. And he comes up to take a look at it, and he's like, this jet is still dirty. And I never seen more people like more angry and upset in a circumstance like that. Cold was enough to make you angry. You had people ready to be in a fist fight. Like, bro, I was up there all night doing flight ops, and now I'm washing this aircraft, and now it's dirty after we just finished. So yeah, that was quite an experience. Just never know. You never know what you're gonna get yourself into. So we got this area pretty documented. There's some stuff over here I'm not gonna be able to hit that looks like water. You know, unless they froze all of this area right here. If they froze all that, that could be kind of interesting. I'm gonna keep pushing south. I don't care if I run out of gas with this particular Jeep right here. I'll call it back if I need to. I'm just gonna push as far south as I can go and try to peg the rest of this map. Ooh, whoa. That could have been a flip. But yeah, been a lot of places. So South Korea, like I said, been to Malaysia, I've been to Brazil, been to Peru, been to Hong Kong. Let's see what else. I was in Israel for a couple of weeks. I've been to all over Africa, east, west, south, like just all up and down that, you know. There's actually some really beautiful parts of Africa that you would never expect to see. Like, I'm talking like tropical beachfront that looks like it belongs in the best catalogs in the world, but there's some war-torn areas where you would never have tourism if they don't figure out how to suppress the type of terrorism and just militias, you know, like wild militias patrolling these areas. But there was some pristine water, like crystal blue, greenish water that's just white sand beach, and looking at it from a distance, you're like, this place would be filled with people any day of the week. And the sad part about that area of Africa is that there's so much oppression, there's so much violence and uncertainty that any thought of having a tourism industry in some of these beautiful areas would just make it a target. And that's a sad truth, but there's plenty of our warfighting brothers and sisters out there doing what they can to collaborate with other world leaders, other armies, other U.S. partners to hopefully quell some of that violence. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, some other places. I was in Australia for a couple of days. Badass place. And what's funny about Australia is they think our accent is just as rewarding as we think they are. They're like, oh, stop and have a beer, you know, with their Australian accent. And then we say something, oh, thanks, I appreciate it. And they're like, oh, you sussy, appreciate it. And they get like all fired up, you know, like it's just funny. I mean, I think it was one of my favorite places. Like the weather, if you think of Southern California, I mean, you hear of Australia and you're like, oh, it's blazing hot, desert. But they have some coastal areas that are like year-round beautiful. And I would not hesitate to go back for my own exploration, not even be like, part of a Navy thing, but just go back. Beautiful place. Been over to the Middle East, some dicey areas. I probably can't talk too much about those, but there's some beauty over there as well, and it's not like you think. Like, a lot of times you think of the Middle East the same way as you would think of parts of Africa or Australia, like desert, hot. But there's some really surprisingly beautiful areas and like mountainous regions and snowy areas, like stuff you're not really even thinking would be out there. Yeah, so the world travels have taken me to 6 of the continents. If I could get to Antarctica, and I hope I have my geography right, but like North Pole, South Pole stuff, that would complete, in essence, the world tour. And I have this pair of shoes that's been to every continent, but those polar regions, I will take that pair of shoes, put it on, just set foot over there, and then frame it and hang it up. you know? But it's just one of the cool aspects of the Navy in general. I can't say I've loved every minute of it because honestly I haven't. It's been very hard. It's challenging for your family, for kids, for, having a family like life dynamic. But I can say the positive side, just meeting people. It's the people. Like there's guys that I met throughout my career. I would call them brothers in a heartbeat. Like we might not see each other for 2-3 years. We might not even talk on, online. But then you're in the area, go to the bar, get a drink, and it's like you didn't even miss a beat. That's the kind of friendships you don't find very often in life. And one takeaway from the Navy that I can be grateful for is definitely the friendships and the travel, like I mentioned already. But it also come at a cost, a big cost. Like right now, I have all kinds of messed up discs in my neck, my back. I've got arthritis. I had to have surgery. I had to do like a rehab right now. I used to be very active, like lifting weights, running, doing all kinds of outdoorsy kind of stuff. And ever since my injuries, I have not been able to do anything. So that's why I'm streaming. Screw it. I'm gonna stream. I'm gonna meet people. I'm gonna, like this, I'm driving outside right now. I couldn't do this in real life if I wanted to. With the way my neck is, I already have to wear like a soft harness when I go in the car, and like any vibration sends my disc into like this like spasm. But a video game like this allows me to feel like I'm doing something. I'm not doing anything, but it's still enjoyable though. I said in some of my previous streams, like that was my hope for the channel, is make this like a military friendly lounge, and obviously anybody is welcome worldwide. I don't care who stops in, but I just wanted to designate it outright. Get off work, you want to play some video games, have a couple beers, I'm down. And I'm going to keep doing this every day until I get healthy. If I don't ultimately get my mobility back or anything like that, I hope to have built a network by then of gamers with the same like-minded, wanting to jam out, do something fun. A lot of my military friends are actually gone, and it really sucks when you're gone and you have no internet, no Wi-Fi. I've done 3 carrier deployments, and all 3 of them, there's like internet hours. The lower rank you were, the less time you got. So you got people like fighting over a computer, and we're like talking about thousands of people here. Fighting over a computer, fighting over a phone, trying to call your family, trying to email your wife and kids, and like that's hard. I was on some desert deployments with some like more of the SOCOM side, and like things with their side of the house is much easier. Like you're in a smaller crew, and they occasionally get Wi-Fi hotspots, and it's only like 6 guys using a hotspot. Like you could stream off Twitch on that. But that's the exception, not the norm. So the vast majority of my friends, you know what it's like to leave in like a January, for example. And all these new games, movies, like life is happening without you. America, the engine keeps on rolling, and you come home and you're like, when did this come out? What is this movie like? Oh, this game, everybody's jamming on this game, let me check it out. And the user base of the game is already dead because you've been gone so long. You get back and there's like no players, you know, like that's the kind of lifestyle that they have. And I have a huge respect for it. I'm not going to be deploying anytime soon, probably never again. But for those of you who are out there on the grind, on the flight deck, at the FOBs, wherever you're stationed at, and you're giving up your civil liberties, you're giving up your what you love and enjoy, I respect you. I have the utmost respect for you and appreciation for you. I know what it's like, and I just hope that at some point global Wi-Fi or communications or some kind of way becomes available where you don't have to live like that just to serve your country or just to do what you got to do. There's always concerns of privacy and, you know, people leaking location of ships or troop movements or whatever else, and I get that part. But when you're on liberty and you're supposed to be in a place where you can be enjoying yourself, and you got like 400 people getting off the ship at a cafe with like 3 kilobytes of connection, that's hard, man. You know, like that sucks so bad. And I think the military as a whole can do better with providing the troops internet access and enabling them to have more like frequent contact with the people they care about when the mission is not in jeopardy. Like when you're not in a classified location, or you're not in an area where, you know, it would be difficult to like, you know, hide what the ships are doing or whatever's going on. I get that part. But when it's liberty time, you're off work, you're not in a classified area, like you're supposed to be out having a good time, give those homies some internet, dog. That's all I'm saying. Give them some internet. Maybe even put a couple Xbox consoles out there or PlayStation or whatever, and let them game out to do something. But I'm off my soapbox with that.